Our dog-loving serial killer has gynecomastia. Now, why would I mention that? Why would I make fun of this guy's man boobs? Because in previous videos, I mentioned something about a hormone imbalance. It can be caused by dog ownership because it puts you in the mama bear mode. You're constantly worried about what some other creature is doing, an adolescent creature that needs your constant attention. Another thing is posture. When you have a dog, you're constantly looking at the ground. This affects your hormones. So, gynecomastia. It's an abnormal, non-cancerous enlargement of one or both breasts in males due to growth of breast tissue as a result of hormone imbalance between estrogens and androgens. Gynecomastia can cause significant psychological distress or unease. For one, because it looks weird, and for two, because all those extra hormones are forcing your body to function in a way that it's not supposed to. A hormone imbalance can lead to all types of problems. However, psychological distress is an interesting one because the story of Todd is filled with psychological distress. When he was a little kid, he had psychological distress. I'm sure right now in his life he's having psychological distress. That's why he's going full on control freak and denying everything that they're saying they found on his property. But I just wanted to point that out for this story because it's very significant because they try to conflate other things in this guy's life with the reason that he has psychopathy. Now, in this documentary about the same guy, Todd, they try to conflate animal cruelty with the fact that he may have shot a dog with a BB gun when he was a kid. They're connecting animal cruelty with psychopathy and saying that, look at that, we told you so. People that don't like dogs are psychopaths. They completely left out the part that he is a lover of dogs. Let me show you a little bit of the video.
Sent to a mental facility at the age of 9 due to his sudden explosions of anger. Throughout this counseling, Todd was described as being preoccupied with sexual content at a disturbingly young age. If you're a true crime fan, then this won't be surprising to you at all, but
here's the setup. This won't be surprising to you. He's actually using some of the things that he talks about in these interrogations.
Todd was also known to be extremely cruel to animals as a child.
Known to be extremely cruel to animals. Then they show a picture of a dog that maybe is sad. So they're setting you up. They're conflating maybe this kid shot a dog with a BB gun at one point in his life to extreme cruelty to animals equals psychopath. And you sure won't be surprised by that.
Often a telltale sign of a psychopath. Not only did he heartlessly shoot a dog with a BB.
So often a telltale sign of a psychopath. So it's interesting that in this documentary, instead of connecting anything real to this guy's psychopathy, like the fact that he was cruel to humans or had a crazy childhood, or the fact that he has gynecomastia now, instead they try to bring up some alleged story of some BB gun thing, and then they say, well, you shouldn't be surprised that this guy's a killer because he shot a dog with the BB gun supposedly a long time ago. But if you wanted to find something to connect psychopathy to, right there, owner of one of those, in this body style with way too much estrogen for a man, if you're already a little bit psychotic, having that type of high estrogen imbalance is going to make you a lot worse. So the other interesting thing about this, before they arrest him, they hang out in his living room and they pore over his dogs. The detectives pet the dogs, baby talk the dogs. Todd continues to just talk about his dogs.
Almost.
There's the posture. He's looking down at the dog.
This is my ferocious attack.
You can tell.
Surprisingly, though, I bet she could be.
And when you're not
This one gets.
Okay, blah, blah, blah. They're literally just having some kind of like weird excitement over this guy's dogs. Meanwhile, on his property, dead people buried, Meanwhile, a woman is chained up inside of a metal container, and all these people are just yammer yammering over dogs. They even go out of their way.
You want us to contact somebody to come get the dog? Who would you like me to contact?
So they make a big deal about having someone special come over to get the dogs. Then they go walking around the house, rounding up the dog, talking about, well, the dog wants a different crate. There's a different crate right here. Oh, the dog likes that crate better. So the cops go around baby talking the dogs, dragging the guy all through the house, trying to find the dogs. Blah, blah, blah. Yammer, yammer. What does the puppy need? And that's my whole point about this. It's like a cross section of society. All this effort for these dogs. Meanwhile, you literally have dead people on your property, and a person that could be dead if you don't get them out of that metal container fast enough. And it's just that's how society is. All these dog attacks happen, and meanwhile, we spend all these community resources taking care of dogs. And what about humans? And did this guy, as a realtor, do you think he used those dogs to make himself look good? They say he was a pillar of the community, a great guy. Well, if those cops ever saw him with those dogs, that's probably what they thought. They're probably acting the same way they acted in this video. Just sitting there smiling, laughing, chuckling, going out of their way to pet up on his dogs. So, in this documentary, look at what he says at 32:36. He says, "I don't treat my dogs that way."
She asked you to order it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll get to that in a minute.
Didn't use it, because after it came in the mail,
Mm-hmm.
I looked at it and went,
Okay.
that's iffy for me. It's a stainless steel collar with like hooks for...
So he's talking about putting a collar on the girl he has locked up in the crate. And then he says, well, I don't treat my dogs that way. So he makes sure and tell these detectives during the interview later that he treats his dogs good, okay? He's a good dog treating guy. Yet he sits there and brags about killing people, putting bullets in their heads, tying them up, and burying them. So this conflating love of dogs with a good person, this conflating animal abuse with psychopathy, it's totally incorrect. And it's not even provable. And it's crazy that these documentaries about killers, they will completely leave out the fact that this guy had several dogs and then go out of their way to try to say that he was probably crazy. Probably the telltale sign was that he supposedly shot a dog with a BB gun. I have to wonder if Todd, when he sits in prison, is thinking, man, I should have had like 4 or 5 dogs out on my property by that steel container to get those cops to pay attention to those dogs and not realize I had somebody tied up in there. Because if these cops were paying attention to this guy's dog like they were out on his property, they probably would have been completely diverted. And it seems to me like these dogs were just part of his shell to make himself look good. And it seems to me that dog-loving serial killers are pretty common in our society. So dog people, what do you got to say about this?